and members of the community. It's great to have you with us in the chamber today. Could you lead us in a karakia? Kia ora, Pētara.
Tēnā tātou, mui te karakia e tangi ana ki te kaumātua ki a Tom, tētai o ngā kaumātua o te reho nei. Kua hoki atu kia kuima, kia koroma, rātou kia rātou, tātou kia tātou. E kuima e koroma I te pō tahuri mai rā ki te āwhina I a mātou. Ho mai te mauri o a koutou mahi, mā mātou e kaue mo te wā poto, ka whakahoki atu ai kia koutou tūturu e rangi whakamaua kia tīnā, haumi e hui e, tāu ki, your worship.
Tēnā koe. Very warm welcome once again to everybody. Apologies over request for leave of absence. A leave of absence has previously been granted to Councillor Nixon. Any further requests for leave of absence? No? Councillor Butto, is it you with the light on? No, thank you. Item 4, I'll just remind everybody as we come to conflicts of interest, could we address them in the usual way? Thank you. Item 4 is a confirmation of minutes held by the Council on the Thursday, the 26th of June 2025, and minutes held by the Council on the 22nd of July. Could I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Watkins and seconded Councillor Dixon. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Item 5. A mayoral update, and just to feed everybody in really of what's been happening in the community, and I wish to thank all of our councillors who have helped me with the mayoral duties over the last 2 months. So a mayoral report for July and August. Over the last 3 months we've held 3 citizenship ceremonies, between 80 and 90 people, new citizens at each ceremony, and they have been amazing ceremonies held at Toi Toi on the 10th of June, the 8th of July and the 12th of August. I attended the Girls with High Vis 2025 with Connexus, which is a collaboration between our infrastructure industry employers and the Girls with High Vis events, and it was incredible to see the 10th anniversary of infrastructure, civil infrastructure, energy, telecommunications and water sectors all come together. And for our young high school students, female high school students, with a goal to inspire our young wahine into civil infrastructure. So amazing events, and I really enjoyed all of them, from roading, wind farm maintenance, wastewater treatment, many, many hands-on skills for those young wahine. It was wonderful. The Big Sing was held at Toi Toi, and I was privileged to present the Audience Impact Award. Incredible talent we have across our region. The Heritonga Women's Centre launch of corporate sponsorship program was attended by Councillor Teo Skipworth and Councillor Kelly Jessup, I think. Thank you. And Councillor Sholem, thank you for attending that event. 2025 PanPac launch of the Business Awards was attended by Councillor Damon Harvey, and with Mayor Kirsten, I attended the Hawke's Bay Orchestral Society AGM at Havelock High, and that was an incredible event. Volunteering Hawke's Bay Expo to align the New Zealand Volunteer Week with Volunteering Hawke's Bay was hosted at the Napier War Memorial, and I think I saw some of my councillors there. What an amazing, amazing event. We are so blessed to have so many voluntary organisations, and they were all there represented that day, hundreds of people. The Marae Kakaho Open Day for the Community Emergency Hub and Civil Defence Emergency, and Councillor Butto and I attended the exercise involving the Hall Committee, FENS and Focus Marae Kakaho at Marae Kakaho. It was an amazing afternoon, and this was a very, very special event, and I was very pleased to be able to judge the best recipe in a case of emergency when there was no power to cook a meal. So we loved that, didn't we, Marcus? We had the Ngā Toi Creative Hawke's Bay, and I joined with Councillor Harvey the board of Ngā Toi Creative Hawke's Bay for the 2025 celebration dinner at Black Barn. It was an incredible evening and amazing, once again, local talent and David Downs shared his incredible personal story. A launch at Queen Street Preschool, and what a fabulous visit we had from these little preschoolers to the Mayor's office. And they sat around here at age 3 and talked about being a councillor. We had the presentation of Pounamu Tonga for Kepatoa for his service to the Marae Totara Tree Trust, and I attended with Councillor Monteputo Hendry, and that was the most beautiful acknowledgement of his service over 20 years. Matariki, what a fabulous family-friendly event was held, and we just loved it at Waiaroha, and I know so many, and I thank all of our councillors who got along to the evening to support this event. We had the Hawke's Bay Warriors volleyball tournament at the Hastings Sports Centre, and we had our community come from many parts of the North Island to attend this volleyball tournament. Versa Heritage Music Festival with the Pakistan Friends and the Hawke's Bay Association, and thanks to Councillor Sholem for speaking at this event on my behalf. Dove Hawke's Bay unveiling a new era, and thank you to Councillor Ana Apatu. Dove is an incredible organisation and has huge support for family violence intervention and operating for over 30 years and have a new home, and Ana attended this on my behalf. Their new home is 903 Florence Street in Hastings. Outward Bound, I attended many of our young graduates from Outward Bound over at the Napier Club, at the Hawke's Bay Club I should say, and they had just completed their life-changing adventures at Outward Bound. Our Flaxmere Licensing Committee had sponsored 3 of our rangatahi from Flaxmere to attend Outward Bound, and it was amazing to hear their stories of their life-changing journeys. Momentum Hawke's Bay was the official site opening of the new premise at 205 Hastings Street South with Councillor Butto. Incredible to hear actually what's going on in research. We were quite blown away, weren't we, Marcus, at attending that event. I attended Age Concern Hastings and Havelock meetings and provided informal catch-up with many of our seniors and to hear what matters concern them most, and opportunities to see how we can support them. I attended with Councillor Malcolm Dixon, Janice's retreat at the Cancer Society, and Janice Klinkhammer, who had sadly passed away last year, made a gift to the Cancer Society to assist them with a new room and a retreat space, and it was a beautiful acknowledgement of Janice and her contribution to the Cancer Society. This was opened by her husband, Lou. Matapiro Bridge, and Councillor Apatu, Councillor Butto and myself attended the most incredible bridge opening, and thank you Councillor Corbyn, and with that bridge opening was absolutely amazing and wonderful to have lunch with the community afterwards. The Bostock 2025 tree planting for the Karamu Restoration Project, attended by Councillor Butto and Councillor Eke. Thank you for attending and that special event. Tomato Trust Board had a farewell to Mike Devonshire and Michael Bate after 9 years of volunteering on the trust. Thank you, Councillor Dixon, for attending that event. We had many flag-raising ceremonies, Kiribati, Vanuatu, Cook Islands and Tonga in the last couple of months, and we've been celebrating the beautiful language of all of our Pacifica countries, mostly on a Sunday, and but some during the week, and they lift your hearts and spirits. We had the AGM attended by Councillor Sholem and Councillor Fowler for Landmarks, Hastings Landmarks, held on the 7th of July. It's always great to hear what our Landmarks teams are doing. Many of us attended the St. Pierre's Sushi, the beautiful new sushi in Storford Lodge, and many of you attended, and how amazing that to see that site fully repurposed with a beautiful business on it, and instead of that sad old car park that's been sort of left there for very long, 15 years. Craft and Social, celebrated its third birthday on the 13th of July, and Councillor Sholem, myself and the Chief attended that lovely celebration. We had the official opening of Kāweka Stage 2 with Councillor Harvey. This is a $100 million private hospital now being completed, Stage 2. It's just incredible, this four-story section of this new hospital. And, well, we're very blessed to have the services that have been now given to our community from Kāweka Hospital. And we had Councillor Monteperto Hendry, Councillor Teo Skipworth and myself attended the LGNZ conference this year. Probably the highlight for me, one of the highlights was Mayor's Task Force for Jobs, and just to celebrate 25 years of rangatahi in employment and Mayor's still supporting that. It was a very, very good conference, and it was great to hear some of the enormous challenges with local government, but actually to hear also from central government about opportunities. Roy's Hill Aggregates officially opened with the Chief Executive and Councillor Michael Fowler. Windstone Aggregates and Thomas Yule, Lawrence's oldest son, has formed a 50-50 joint venture to continue operations at the Roy's Hill Quarry. And I know Michael really enjoyed, and with Nigel, that opening. Thank you for attending while we were in Christchurch. The Hukariri Girls College marked 150 years with celebrations, included a dinner to mark the occasion held at Toi Toi. We saw in attendance alumni from across 10 decades who travelled across the country and so far as Australia to attend this 150th celebration. It was an incredible night to hear the journey and the story of Hukariri Girls College and the challenges that it had faced with its homes, but still standing strong with these amazing wahine there singing and performing and having the ex-pupils from Hukariri talking about their special times with or without a school, where they joined Napier Girls for a period of their lives, and I just loved hearing their stories. I attended Renee Markia's exhibition at the at Community Arts Centre, and it was great to see our youth council there, many of our staff there, and to see her outstanding exhibition. We had a very special signing ceremony to mark Hawke's Bay Tongan Communities Society, and the Flaxmere is now the home for the Hawke's Bay Tongan community, and seeing this lease being signed for 2,500 square metres of land in Chatham Park for a new community centre for the Tongan community. And thank you to Councillor Heki and Councillor Jessup for attending that, and Councillor Corbyn for attending that lease signing with me. We had the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival Readers and Writers Festival program unveiled with Councillor Sholem, Councillor Apatu, Councillor Harvey, and how exciting that we're looking forward to a fabulous Hawke's Bay Arts Festival this year, and we missed it incredibly last year, and what an exciting crew and what an exciting program. So I would suggest everyone needs to get their tickets very quickly. They're selling out very fast, and it's going to be an exceptional arts festival, and I can't wait. So thank you for those people who attended. I also attended an event at Mangaroa Hawke's Bay Prison, and the unveiling that took place of painted memorial poles, peace poles, and this was in a spiritual garden. It was a very, very moving service with 4 of our tāne, our prisoners, and it was very, very special and moving to be invited, and great to see some of that healing work happening at our prison. Air New Zealand hosted an annual Merrill Forum over 28th, 29th of July, which I attended in Auckland, and I was able to farewell the Chief Executive, Greg Forum, as we know, a Twyford man. We're very proud of him, and he's done an exceptional job for New Zealand over incredibly difficult circumstances as he's led that organisation. So the Merrill Forum is always a good opportunity to take our concerns from our airport, from our community with Air New Zealand, and get some answers from in New Zealand. Export New Zealand, the ASB Export Awards, was held at Toi Toi. It was incredible to see ABB take out the overall prize award, and what an exceptional business in Hawke's Bay that we have with those guys and their robotics that go under the radar in Hawke's Bay in New Zealand, but export these incredible products to the world, and but use all of our industry here to help build these products. So it was wonderful to see them being acknowledged. We had Cineverse with Councillor Harvey and myself with a new cinema opening, and how neat it is that we've got the cinema up and running with a dynamic crew. And if you haven't been to the new cinema, it was the focal point, I suggest you get in there. It's lovely, it's a beautiful atmosphere, and we really enjoyed cutting the ribbon. We also had the Flaxmere Gumtree blessing of the super lots and Ratima Avenue in Flaxmere with TW, and how cool that was to see some new homes, and we hope to get some people in those homes before Christmas next year. I was a panellist on Building Nations 2025 conference on balancing urban development with environmental management. Red, you would have been proud of me if you see that. That was it was actually how we manage keeping people safe in the future through these big climate, severe weather events and climate change. And it was pretty neat to be on that panel. We had the Fiji Gimmet Remembrance Day, and thank you to Councillor Fowler who attended on my behalf. I also attended the New Zealand Cruise Association's conference at Napier War Memorial last week. We had about 200 cruise professionals and stakeholders attend, with international cruise liners, executives, representatives, and Councillor Jessup. It was wonderful to have you attend for the day, representing Heretaunga Hastings, and look forward to hearing a debrief from that day of conference. But great to be able to show them our region and hold a national conference in Hawke's Bay. And last night, Councillor Harvey and I attended the Bailey's Havelock North official opening, which was opened last night, cut the ribbon with John Bailey, the founder of 50 Years. And that was very important to be with all of our professional industry there. So it's been quite a busy time, folks. So that concludes my report, and if I've missed any of you out, I apologise in advance. So I'm happy to move from the chair. I have a seconder, Councillor Kerr, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that is carried. Now, it is my very great delight to welcome the Hastings Rotary Club. Now, the Hastings Rotary Club in June invited me to attend their final luncheon after serving the people of Hastings for 101 years. And the Rotary Club said that, that it was their time to finish their role and their duty, and we have members of the Hastings Rotary Club here, and Mr. David Davidson, Mr. Derek Burns, Mr. Graham Richardson, Rita and John. Now, would you all like to come up? And what I did is, as I invited the Hastings Rotary to share the journey of being members of Hastings and the important work they did with council over 101 years. And when I heard their presentation, I said, my council colleagues need to hear this too. So it gives me great delight to welcome both Graham and Derek up and to share the story that you shared with us. Sometimes these, amazing clubs go unnoticed, and it's really important that we fully understand exactly their mahi, the work that they have done over so many years, and they are incredible leaders, and they go quietly about their business. And so today I want you to hear their story that I heard. Welcome, Derek. Welcome, Graham.
I've been asked to present extracts from a speech I gave at our closing Rotary meeting in June. The first Rotary Club in New Zealand was established in 1920, and the Hastings Rotary was chartered 4 years later on the 7th of April 1924. When I read the names of our founding members, I realised how young these men must have been, namely Messrs. Roach, Hallett, Hobbs, Phillips, Foote, O'Meara, Rainbow, Westerman and Bowden. All gentlemen I can remember around the business area of Hastings when as a young lad I started my first job at the Bank of New Zealand. These foundation members set the formula and standard which we've been pleased to follow. The first membership fee was 1 guinea with a lunch charge of 1 shilling. By 1929, membership has increased to 42, with 2 guineas being the fee. From the beginning, our club has supported youth. Firstly, the Boy Scout movement, and in the years following, support was also given to the Girl Guides, the Children's Welfare League, the YMCA, and kindred societies. In 1934, the club launched the Hawke's Bay Crippled Children's Society. Even in those early years, the senior citizens were catered for on an annual basis. It was recorded that in 1967, 150 senior citizens were entertained in a function in the Assembly Hall. By 1949, club membership numbered 69. In 1956, £927 was raised by a house-to-house appeal for a new hall for St John Ambulance. In 1960-61, the Community Services Committee worked to establish Meals on Wheels. In 62-63, plans were drawn up and a shelter erected at the intermediate school baths. In the same year, the Vocation Committee formed an apprentices extension scheme with local employers. In 1966, funds were raised for the railway station at Fantasyland, as well as the Wishing Well by the Cenotaph. After the state members voted to discontinue selling raffle tickets at Rotary luncheons as a fundraiser, instead a house painting working bee was organised, as well as 2 performance concerts at the Municipal Theatre with the assistance of the Latter-day Saints Choir. The aim was to raise $1,400 for an additional 1-bed hospital unit. Amazingly, a total of $3,200 was raised, and this allowed funds for a 2-bed electric coronary care unit to be set up and equipped. In 1952, the club agreed to raise £1,000 to complete the building of Windsor Lodge at Windsor Park. Fundraising proved rather difficult due to poor support in selling raffle tickets. A year later, £750 was still owing. Pressure was brought to bear by the Hastings Council, and the debt was finally settled in 1955. The members agreed no more funding guarantees would ever be given to the council. In 1970, a blood bank appeal was organised. A TV was given to the hospital, and following planning, a trailer for the Waimarama Surf Club was built and presented. In 1972, over a period of several weekends, the Te Aute College Library was painted. In 1974, the water feature at the library was presented. In 1973, Don Wilson grew 500 redwood trees which were planted out by Rotarians in land at Havelock North, donated by Mr. Mason Chambers. These trees, now giant specimens, are a continuing source of enjoyment for locals and for thousands of visitors to Hawke's Bay. In 1984, the club agreed to finance the paddle steamer at Windsor Park. $14,000 was raised for this project thanks to the assistance of Rotarian wives who opened a cake stall at a Fantasyland gala. This form of fundraising was repeated at Fantasyland in 1987 when $5,000 was raised. A golf tournament at the Hastings Club commenced in the early 1980s, and over the years the funds raised supported Birthright twice, Hawke's Bay Crippen Children's Society, Cranford Hospice twice, Arthritis Foundation, Hawke's Bay Children Homes, St John's Ambulance twice, Hastings Citizens Band Uniform Appeal, Hawke's Bay Children's Support Group, Asthma Society, Salvation Army, Birthright Medical Trust, the Hastings Hearing Association, and Lifeline Hawke's Bay. After 1985, no group supported received less than $2,000, with the total funds raised and gifted exceeding $49,000. Our club was involved with the Hastings District Council in sending teachers to China, our responsibility being providing money for the airfares both ways. Thank you. In 1985, our club had 112 members. In 1996 was the year we purchased for $11,600 a vehicle from Stephen Hill to enable the Hastings Police to run the Dare Schools program. During the years 84 to 2007, we estimate grants of $50 to $1,500. In total, $35,000 were made to community groups, families with medical problems, attendees to science summer schools, Outward Bound, Ryla, disaster relief gifts, support of 2 boys at Dr. Graham's Indian School. In addition, gifts of resuscitators, pianos, TVs, books, etc. were made. These grants from 1980 do not cover gifts made from our Rotary Trust. Our club financially supported many young people to Outward Bound in the 80s and early 90s. International themed dinners organised and designed by the late past President Ron Walker raised in excess of $30,000 for several community organisations, that is Cystic Fibrosis, the Cancer Society, the Arthritis Society, and $11,000 of crockery and cutlery for the Hawke's Bay Opera House Assembly Hall kitchen. It can be seen that our club over the years has supported the people of Hastings. At least 4 mayors and several councillors were members of our club. Because of declining membership and being a lunchtime club, we decided to discontinue. Our remaining funds have been passed to the Hawke's Bay Foundation with a proviso the income received be used for Hastings youth. Thank you.
On behalf of us all, we thank you for your tireless work for our community over 101 years. I have served with Derek on Edible Fashion Awards and the Hastings Arts and Culture Trust. He was the treasurer for about 20 years. He has helped the arts community in many ways. Graham was a pharmacist on the corner where Alexander's Menswear is now today. Dr. David Davidson here, Rita and John, on behalf of us all, we thank you for your incredible contribution to Heretaunga Hastings. We are much better off. In those days, that's all those things we've heard that you've gifted to the community. And I was so pleased that our councillors could hear today how you've served our community over a very, very long time with all of yourselves and your colleagues. So once again, thank you very much. There may be some questions. I'll just ask our councillors if they'd like to ask anything on any of those things. And our historian, Councillor Fowler, he might like to add something about the mayors who attended the Hastings Rotary Club.
Sure. Thank you for. Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, in the old days, 1920s, 30s, 40s, the Rotary Club used to do what they call waiting. So they'd go and knock on the door of the man, sorry ladies, that they thought should be the mayor, and they would have a delegation and say, "You're it, Tush." And other people, could still stand against them, but they invariably won. So the 4 mayors that you're talking about would have all been knocked on and Rainbow and persuaded to take the office and kind of dragged out unwillingly. And on Saturday, unwittingly, there's a race between an elephant race down Hiratonga Street in 1967 took place of the Rotary president, the JC's president and the Lions president racing these circus elephants down the street, and you're going to have to read to find out who won.
I think there's a book there somewhere with all of that history. I think that, and to hear what you did at Windsor Park and Fantasyland is quite extraordinary. And we wish that, we had you here doing things like that for us today. Councillor Watkins, did you want to say anything?
Thank you, Worship. Back in the early 1970s, you sponsored Rotaract, and I was on that foundation committee. And it was just wonderful to attend your meetings up in the Hawke's Bay Farmers tea rooms at that time. And what you taught us was so much about service to people in the community. And I know the first weekend after we were formed, we swept the streets of Hastings to keep it clean. That was the first thing. And my memory serves me right. The second thing we did was we built a beautiful big doll's house to take to the children's ward at the hospital. So wonderful memories, and thank you for everything.
So much for coming in today. Oh, Councillor Hiki?
Mea tuatahi tuku mihi kia koro I te wā, ka tui wainganui a tātou. 101 years from the community, the mana whenua of Here Taunga, Te Matawa Māui, e tuku mihi kia koe. I heard names like Te Oti College, the library, heard names like Meals on Wheels, things that I only grew up with, didn't really know where they come from, and maybe recently in the last 12 years I've become more knowing of the organisation. So, mai tātou nei, te wā I runga I a kōrua, tō tīma, tō whānei, tēnā kōtau, tēnā kōtau. Thank you very much, sirs and ladies. Tu tira mai ngā iwi, aue, tātou, tātou, aranga tita. Tu tira mai ngā iwi, aue, tātou, tātou, e whaia, whaia te maramatanga me te aroha. E ngā iwi kia tapatahi, kia patahira. Tātou, tātou, e hope. Tātou, tātou, pūritia ki a mau, hia hei.
Councillor Hiki, could you just explain to our Rotarians about the Tu Tira Mai and it meaning?
Surely. The significance is, as we come together, we stand together as one group in unity, as our elder Canon Witatau Huata when he first composed that waiata. So on that note, I just thought it was a great opportunity because as we sit here with our colleagues, the conversation, the kōrero, the people that you've helped have been from every community. And so we thank you for your service to our community. Kia ora.
Councillors, we have a recommendation to receive this report from our Rotarians. Thank you, Councillor Watkins, seconded Councillor Butto. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. Just wait a minute as everyone says their farewells and acknowledges our Rotarians. Well, to our Rotarians, once again, thank you, and it's lovely for everyone to acknowledge you today. It needed to be far more than just me, and you're very welcome to stay and join the rest of our council meeting today, or you're also very welcome to get on with your day and your business, so entirely over to you. We now move on to item 7, and I invite the team leader for the Environmental Policy, Craig Scott, to come forward, and I'll invite the Chief Executive to commence item 7, which is the Napier Hastings Future Development Strategy for Adoption. Opening comments. Councillor Monteputo Hendry? Conflict, yes. Okay, thank you. And Councillor Monteputo Hendry has joined the gallery. Thank you, Nigel. If you'd just like to start with some introductory comments.
Thank you, Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. This afternoon is the adoption of the Future Development Strategy. As you're aware, an extensive process over the last 2.5 years. At a recent council meeting, the council approved the FDS, having made some decisions, notably to exclude Middle Road and to exclude Wall Road from the recommended Future Development Strategy. That decision has been made and officers were tasked, given that we are one of 3 partner councils, along with Napier City Council and the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, to prepare the FDS for adoption, setting out the slightly different views that were taken by each of the councils in relation to a small number of land holdings. So today, having done that, having set out in the Future Development Strategy those different positions, what is in front of you today is a decision for adopting the FDS, as you know, which is a legal requirement on councils under the National Policy Statement on Urban Development. And with those comments, I'm not sure, Mr. Scott, if you want to add anything at this point.
Through you, Madam Chair, no, you've summed it up nicely. Thank you.
Councillor Kerr?
Thank you. Very simple question to the Chief Executive. By passing these resolutions, that formally completes our legal obligations for the establishment of the FDS.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Corbyn?
Thank you, Your Worship. This has been a complex and complicated process. It hasn't just involved the 3 councils, but also 3 PSGEs. And in the end, the councils haven't all landed on the same place with the sites to be included in the FDS. So, for clarification, my question is, given the differing positions, what does HDC take regard to, and what informs the process when plan change or resource consent applications come in for Middle Road or Wall Road?
Okay, so I'll just ask, what is the process? Is it, Mr. Scott, for any future consent for Middle Road or Wall Road? What is the process?
So any future consent or plan change for Middle or Wall Road would have to take into account the entirety of the FDS document. The FDS document clearly indicates Hastings District Council's position in that chapter 3, and there would be strong weight placed on that administering council's position as how they would have to address the FDS as part of those future processes.
Thank you. Councillor Corbyn, are you satisfied with the response?
I'm satisfied with the response, but just for clarity, I would like to add an extra recommendation E, that encapsulates that.
Thank you. Lynn, could you bring that up, please? You're wishing to move the recommendations, including recommendation E, Councillor Corbyn?
Yes, I'd like to move that.
Okay, do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Watkins. All right, any questions or debate on any of the recommendations? Councillor Kerr.
Once again, Your Worship, hopefully a very simple question. Given the complexity of what we've been through, has this been confirmed by independent legal advice that fits in with what we're trying to achieve?
Through you, Worship, yes.
Thank you. So we may have a mover and a seconder. No further questions or comments. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. We now consider the FDS as an adopted document, and well done. Thank you. Thank you to the hard work of the staff for 2 years. All right, moving on to item 8. Senior Housing Portfolio, Annual Rent Review. Welcome to Ms Dinwoody. We have a short presentation, I understand. Senior Housing Portfolio Annual Rent Review. Welcome to you, Bets.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. So the purpose of this workshop is to remind you that back in November 2023, the Senior Housing Operational Management Policy was adopted, and this allows for an annual rent review, which is in accordance with the Residential Tenancies Act. In addition, that policy states that any proposed adjustments to rent must be reported back to council for a council decision. Now, there has been some thinking about a change to this policy to make increases an operational decision, but some recommendations will be brought back to council next month in September around that. This council paper is for the consideration of the proposed rent increase for the 2025-26 financial year, which wouldn't come into effect until the 2nd of February 2026 next year. Just as some background and context, the revenue and financing policy requires an 100% cost recovery of operational expenditure and all debt servicing costs to be made from rental revenue. And this is to reflect that the individual tenants benefit, and that is that their rent is far below what the market value is. So ratepayers are not to carry any burden of this portfolio. As per the council paper you got in October 2024, we need a rental increase of 5.3% every year, so year on year, and that forecasts us or gets us on the right path to being in alignment with that revenue and financing policy again. So this council paper is premised on returning this portfolio to a break-even position in 2033-34 to get us back to being compliant with that revenue and financing policy. And just to add that we want to do that steadily with smaller increases each year rather than big jumps in rent. And if you remember back in 2024, we did have to do a big increase in the rent, and the feedback from our tenants then was that they prefer these smaller increases annually rather than big increases. So although the paper does set out 3 options, there's only one option that actually sees us on the path to complying with that policy, and that's option 1, that 5.3% per annum. And that will get us to that break-even position in 2033-34. So currently, as you know, we are borrowing to finance this portfolio. Now, as you know, we have ageing assets, most of which were built between the 1960s and 1980s. And as part of our asset management plans, there are ongoing major works that are planned and have been occurring. They include roof replacements, 3 waters improvements, external painting and standard renewals of the flats when tenants leave. That includes things like traditional bathrooms are being upgraded to wet floor, more accessible bathrooms. So the units are being made more fit for purpose as we go through and renew them. So apologies, there was a sentence missing in the council paper. So just to be clear, over 2.9 million was spent in the last financial year on maintenance and improvements. So that included Oakley roof replacements and exterior painting, Swansea roof replacements to one of the two-storey blocks, and ongoing renewals, end-of-life hot water cylinders, and finishing off the Kerroroo flats that were damaged in the fire. In addition, there were a lot of Healthy Homes compliance costs in that year. Heat pumps went into all the units, and you'll be well aware that all our units are compliant with Healthy Home standards. In addition, increasing costs of contracted services, all the building surveys, exterior cladding surveys, etc., and they all inform our asset management plan so that we can budget, obviously, for these things. And rates and debt servicing. Now, obviously, we are concerned about the affordability of the rent for our seniors, for our tenants, so I just thought I'd run you through the accommodation supplement. But since the last rent increase, and apologies, that's to say January 2025 this year, the maximum accommodation supplement has been increased from $80 to $105 for a single person. So that went up on the 1st of April 2025. So if tenants qualify for that maximum accommodation supplement, and that's MSD's call about how much they get up to that maximum, they will receive that $105. So if they get that, that's not taxed, and if they have no other income apart from super, they'll receive $643 a week. So that's made of that net super plus that's the maximum accommodation supplement. So if the rent increase does go up to 5.3%, that's $288. That equates to 45% of their net income. Now, just to remind you that when we worked this out for the last rent increase, it equated to 46% of the net income. So it's pretty close. If the rent does increase, then obviously tenants will be notified straight after this meeting. We are required, obviously, to give them 60 days' notice, but we want to make that the maximum. A letter will be sent to tenants, as usual, in terms of the rent rate, when it will commence, and contact details for MSD. But really importantly, also this permission slip for HDC to contact MSD on their behalf if they request. That's really important because we've had feedback from tenants that they find it really challenging to go into MSD. They don't like to do it, and it's just difficult for them. So that saves them having to do that. We can do that for them. I've already talked to the Hastings MSD office this week, to 3 of the MSD workers. We've already talked about how we can work with our tenants to do this, to make it as easy for them as possible if this rent increase does occur. As you know, senior housing has come back to be managed in-house from the 1st of July this year. And we've already been thinking deeply about how to support our tenants more, given the increase in cost of living, etc. An example of this is it used to be that Nourish for Nil would actually go to our senior housing villages, but that stopped a couple of years ago. So we're now talking to Nourish for Nil about when they do have extra food availability, that we can actually go and get it and take it to the villages ourselves with our senior housing connectors. Happy to take more questions.
Thank you, Bex. Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to talk in favour of this. None of this is, nothing we do is easy these days. And we made a decision in 2023 to move towards break-even point for 2033-34. It is unfair to expect general ratepayers who are also struggling to pay their rate bills to subsidise other people as well, people that are working long hours, minimum wages as well. And I've had a little bit to do with this, and I have to say that Ms Dinwoodie and her team have bent over backwards to help and make sure the tenants have every bit of assistance that they can possibly have. So, Your Worship, I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Councillor Dixon.
Thank you, Worship. I'm happy to second the recommendations. Just a question, if I may. Are all of our current tenants aware that this may occur?
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. Yes, another piece of feedback we had from tenants last year is that they wanted to know when this meeting was occurring. So last week they all received a letter to let them know that you would be deliberating about this today.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Dixon, has seconded the motion. Councillor Teo Skipworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mori. Thank you, Bishop. It is a very hard decision to have to make. I wonder, as we're looking towards 2033, 34, with rent increases going up 5%, have we looked into possibly, it's great that we've got heat pumps, but have we possibly looked at increasing that slightly more and putting solar panels on our senior housing, because it's almost pointless putting a heat pump in if they're not viable to pay for it.
Thank you, councillor, through your worship. It's certainly something that's being considered council-wide. One of the issues that we would have at the moment is some of the roofs are not ready to, or not in a state to have solar on them. So we're currently going through all the roof replacements, which will take the next at least 3 years to go through those. But that we are doing some other things. For example, we are looking to actually reduce the height of the suspended ceilings at Swansea, which means that there's less area to heat. So again, that will help to reduce that heating bill. So that's on the longer term plan for assets as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Hickey.
Kia ora, just to also stand in for your worship, just to support the paper as well, and just to thank Mr. Mori and her team in regards to the efforts that they went through, specifically in Flaxmere, with our senior citizens there who live in Swansea Village and others as well, because at that time it was quite a tough time. And that I attended Age Concern where I was asked about it as well, so the community is aware of it, and I'm aware with new projects of senior housing coming online in Flaxmere very shortly, and we have a waiting list as well. But thank you for the communication to the community. Thank you for your team for presenting this early, because last time was later in the year and Christmas was coming and the new year, and it was tough times. It's tough times all around, but just want to stand and thank you for the efforts and that you put in. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Hickey. Councillor Jessup.
Kia ora, Bex. I'm really fragile at this time because you know how close I work with the kaumātua over at the Swansea Village. And I know that any increase is going to be a very hard hit in the pocket. My question is, like you said, mentioned that food from Nourish for Nil does, if it's excess and it goes over there, how often is that being actioned?
Through you, your worship. Councillor Jessup, it was in place a couple of years ago and it stopped. I understand Nourish for Nil didn't have the resource to be able to carry on doing it. With our portfolio coming back in-house, we think that's actually something that we can do in-house using our senior housing connectors. So the team are just working with Nourish for Nil so that we would actually get the food and distribute it ourselves. So it would be dependent on how much supply of food there was. And I guess that could vary from week to week, but we would look to be doing it as much as we could.
I'm not getting at you, I'm just getting at the market at the time, because I know that we have to run a raffle to actually fill in the gaps. And it's so hard to actually go over there and give it to them because they're so thankful. But I really appreciate that any food that is excess that needs to go over food, first point of call is to go to them, because they are too humble, they are too whakamā to actually put their hand up. So it's a hard grind for them. And even like with the heat pumps, like some of them would just put on extra clothing because when they turn the heat pump on, they can't afford it. Kia ora.
Thank you, councillor Jessup, and you raised some, very pertinent concerns for our residents. So we have a mover, councillor Fowler, seconder, councillor Dixon. Any further questions or comments? I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. I'll record your vote against, councillor Jessup. Thank you. Right, moving on now to item 9. Welcome to James and Parking Controls. So this is the area in Havelock North to resolve 3 leased car parking spaces in Porter Drive. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, councillors. As our Mayor has stated, this is the road reserve off Porter Drive. We've had a request to develop it into 3 leased car parks. It's a bit deceiving, the picture. It does look like it's a big area, but it's very small, so only 3 vehicles can actually fit in there. Any questions?
Councillor Butto.
Happy to move, Your Worship.
Butto. Councillor Sholem. Happy to second. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. I think I saw 7 parked in there last night. So many more do utilise it. And I just want to understand that the revenue that goes from that goes back into the pool to where?
Comes back to council.
Into the greater council, not into a parking?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just, so it doesn't go into the parking budget? The leased car parking? John, could you answer that, please? What does that mean?
Parking reserve. Yeah, so it goes back into, obviously, and you make an allowance each year split between Havelock.
John, could you come up, please? Because I think some of our councillors couldn't hear you from there. Just need to qualify the lease parking revenue.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair. Yeah, no, the revenue does come back to council, but specifically it does come back to the parking accounts. And I was just mentioning that there's a separation of revenues in terms of Havelock North and Hastings because they operate under different regimes. Yeah.
So, sorry, so it does get tagged, therefore, to anything that is in around parking for Havelock North into the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Councillor Gio Skipworth.
Thank you, Worship. Just out of interest, does, when we offer out lease parking, do we go wide with that, or is it usually somebody's tunnelled for it or requested lease parking?
In this circumstance, Madam Chair, is we had the owners of the New Baileys building come to us and say, look, they can get some more tenants, but they needed some more parking, and so that's why we looked at that one. So it came out of initiative of someone else. Yeah.
Follow-up question. Thank you, Worship. I just wonder if that's a fair process when we're offering out lease parking, and not something to be answered today, but for future thinking.
Thank you.
I think we'll take that as an action, how we go about allocating parking for lease. Excellent, thank you. Have a mover and a seconder. Would you wish to have a right of reply, Councillor Butto? No. Councillor Sholem? No. Thank you. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you very much, James. Moving on now to item 10, and this is the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act requests. So Lagoima's updates on people requesting information from council.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could just make a couple of comments. Previously, council's shown an interest in the estimate of times for each of the requests and responses that we do. Sorry, I didn't make the agenda in time, but I'll pop it on the hub afterwards. But this table has basically got a summary of what those times are. You might want to just.
Okay, so what Ms. Stettner is saying, that in your papers there isn't the times of how long this has taken staff to manage Lagoima requests. She has gone through and put the times alongside, so everybody can understand clearly how long it takes to gather up this information.
So just while you look at that, the other comment I was just wanting to make.
Could you talk into the microphone?
Sorry, the time, at this time leading up to the election, the practice we have in place, if we get a Lagoima request from a candidate, those responses are also copied and sent to all candidates, and that's just about keeping an even playing field as we get.
Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Worship. First of all, I'd like to compliment Ms Stettner on her fashion choice today. You may notice that we're very matching.
Snap.
And then secondly, thank you for supplying the hours. There is some significant work up there, and I'm sure we are tracking this to make sure that staff resources aren't being redirected in the wrong way or this being used to exploit staff. On that basis, I'm very happy to move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sholem. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Butto, thank you. Excuse me, any further questions or comments? Thank you. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you very much, Louise, and for all of that time that has gone into. Now you've got your next paper, which is proposed amendments to meeting schedules. 3 changes.
Happy to
4
move, Your Worship.
changes. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Watkins.
Happy to second,
Thank
Your
you,
Worship.
Councillor Watkins. Any further questions on those proposed meeting changes? No. All those in favour then, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. That concludes the public part of our agenda today. We have a recommendation to exclude the public for 4 items, and I would ask now for Mr Cameron to explain why these items should be in public excluded.
Through you, Madam Chair, there's 5 agenda items today.
5,
Chief
sorry.
Executive recommends be heard in public exclusion. Item 17 relating to the Hawke's Bay Museum, recommended for that agenda item. There's matters of copyright and branding which are currently legally privileged. So it's recommended that matter be considered in public exclusion. Items 15 and 16 relate to matters of development and associated processes. Those items both traverse matters that are regarded as confidential, commercially sensitive, and both for council and external parties, and there's negotiation processes involved in those matters too. Accordingly, it's recommended they be heard at this time in public exclusion. Items 18 relates to a negotiated settlement matter which is regarded as commercially sensitive and potentially legally privileged at this time. Item 19 relates to matters of commercial lease. It's commercially sensitive information for both council and external parties. Recommended it's appropriate this time for that matter too be heard in public exclusion.
Mr Cameron, any questions on whether these matters should be in public excluded? No. I have an extra resolution which allows the MTG Director Laura Vidanovic and Jess Suter-Barron from Napier City Council Communications Manager to be permitted to present after the public have been excluded because of their knowledge of matters pertaining to item 17 that would assist council in making its decision. So the recommendation would be to include that resolution. Councillor Dixon?
Yeah. Could I recommend that we look at item 17 first, please?
Certainly. Are you happy to move
Thank
we
you.
move into PX and that we include that motion that parties are able to stay with us for this agenda? Councillor Kerr? Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. So thank you for our community for attending today's public council meeting, and we'll be back again next week. So, and the week after. So great to have you if you've joined us today. A wonderful celebration of our community with the Hastings Rotary Club, and wonderful to, and we now have an adopted FDS. So thank you for attending today. Mā te wā.